All right, guys, welcome back. I just untaped the Impala, painted it last night. I think I finished around 10 o'clock last night. It's roughly 5 o'clock or so the next day in the afternoon. I went ahead and baked it at 140 degrees for 30 minutes. So the paint is nice and cured. If you look real closely here, you see how it looks wrinkly? The clear looks like it has a wrinkle to it. That's because it is dry now and all that will wet sand out. That run on the other side, I'll wait a few days before I mess with that to see if I can get that out or not. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape off the body and paint the dashboard tonight. And then after that, I'll be doing the floors and then the satin black last. The reason why I did the body first is I wanted it to dry so that I can start wet sanding and buffing it next week. And also, if I got any overspray, I would rather get it on the body than on the other parts that aren't as easy to wet sand and buff. The body is getting completely wet sanded down from 800 grit all the way to 5,000. So it doesn't really matter if I get a little overspray on it because I'll be sanding it off the surface. Obviously, I don't want to get a ton of overspray on it. I'm going to try to protect it the best as possible. But if some does happen to get on it, it's not the end of the world. So let me get this taped up and then I'll be back and we will get the dashboard painted tonight. And then I'm not gonna do the steering wheel tonight. I'm just gonna leave that on there. I'm not really worried about getting overspray on it or anything like that because the steering wheel has to get painted. It's a two-tone steering wheel. There's a light area and a dark area. So I'm gonna paint the column and this dashboard tonight. And I still have the instrument cluster, the gauge covers that I have to paint. I'll paint those separately in the booth once I get the car out of here. So let me get this taped up and I'll be back. Okay, I got the car taped off. I still have to wax and grease remove the dash off and stuff like that. But this car did not get completely torn apart, so all the wires and everything are bagged up underneath there, covered up, because I don't want to get overspray on that or the fuse panel or anything like that, make it look like crap. And then what I did under here, look at all these spots of tape. I just taped over any hole that was going out into the firewall because the firewall is already painted. So I just wanted to block that off just to keep overspray from getting onto the firewall. I'll probably leave that on there for tomorrow when I do the floors because I'll probably just go from this seam right around there down. These floor pans really don't have to have a paint on them. They were originally painted. I'm just gonna go ahead and put some paint on it because I do have some extra. I'll probably end up using the wrong color on these floor pans. They're gonna get covered with carpet anyways, but since I still have the wrong color paint, I might as well use it up. So I have the car all taped off. I gotta hit a few spots here where the plastic tore from pulling on it. And the firewall has plastic over top of it. Now, if you guys are out there and you're asking for prices from people on paint jobs and stuff like that, you know, if you go to different body shops and you're asking around and people are giving you quotes of $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, you got to keep in mind how much materials alone are in a paint job like this. You know, this car is $3,000 plus just in materials between paper, tape, paint, you know, reducers, lacquer thinners, all that. And then on top of that, you have the cost of electricity and your gas bill. You know, this car, all these parts and everything, you know, this booth running for hours at a time. The whole time this booth is running, all the heat that is, you know, in the booth is running out of the building as quick as it's coming into the building. So you got to keep all that stuff in mind. You know, a spray booth running for a couple hours, that heater never shuts off. It runs full force for, you know, as long as the booth is running. You know, so you got to keep all that stuff in mind. And then you have labor. You know, you have hundreds of hours of labor to do something like this. You know, this car alone is going to be plasticed off probably 3, 4 times, 5 times, you know, for a paint job. Once I get done painting this dashboard tonight and, you know, once it airs out 15 minutes later, I'm going to pull this plastic off the body because I do not want to leave this plastic on the body overnight because whatever chemicals are still left, you know, from painting that last night, they want to gas out. So we want to make sure that we don't have it trapped underneath plastic. So basically, as soon as I get this dashboard painted, I am going to get the plastic ripped right back off. Now, you know, if you're painting in a regular garage, you know, without a spray booth, without air movement, you're gonna have to leave your plastic on for longer because you're gonna have overspray that lingers in the air for a long period of time. You know, in here with the, you know, the fans running, at the most, I have maybe 30 seconds to a minute of paint lingering in here, and that's usually only clear coat that does that. Base coat, primers and all that tend to go right out. So I'm going to tape off a couple little spots that I see that I tore, get those taped off, and then I'm gonna wax and grease remover the dash off, and then we will get that painted. This up here, I might put a little bit more tape on. There's a aluminum cap that covers all this, but I think I'll probably tape it up a little bit higher just to be on the safe side, because my luck, I won't, and then the cap won't cover it, and then I'll have to fix that. So sometimes if you question it, just do it, because if you don't, it's gonna bite you in the butt. So, all right, I'm gonna get this lacquer thinner, or I'm sorry, wax and grease remover, that all off, get it tack clothed off, and then we'll come back. I'll set up the tripod and we will start putting some color on it. We're going to put the color right over the existing color. We're not gonna do anything else but to go right over it. That dashboard was Scotch-Brite padded with a red Scotch-Brite pad. So we'll be good to put the new color right over top.
All right, I'm gonna start wax and grease removing the dashboard down. Now on these dashboards, it's always good to do it twice, because you never know if somebody put Armor All, you know, from the interior over the years, grease from people's hands, anything like that. You want to try to really wipe this off as best as you can. Times as I'm wiping them. Keep getting a new towel every time you go over it. Okay, I'm gonna mix up some paint now. This is just a 1-to-1 mix. So, you know, 5 ounces of paint, 5 ounces of your reducer. This is Chromax paint. And this is an original GM code 057. It's like a greenish blue color, because the interior is a two-tone color. It's like a mint bluish green and like a darker green. You'd have to see it. It's kind of a wild colors. So we're just going to mix up some of this. This is a 1-to-1 mix, so this pint makes a full quart. We obviously are not going to use a full quart for everything. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to 250. And then 500 with reducer. We could go 3 to 6, but I don't know if we're going to need that much, so we'll just go to 250. This seems like it's pretty thick, so it should cover pretty good. I still have the tack cloth off the dashboard. Now these tack cloths were new yesterday. I used these on the body. I'm going to continue to use them for the remainder of this stuff that I'm doing. Now I use a little punch here, and I always punch a couple holes in the rim where the lid covers, and what that does is when you pour this out, it can drain back into the can. I do this on all my paints. It just helps keep you from getting a dried paint built up in that edge, and then it gets all crusty and falls in the paint, which isn't a big deal because you can, you know, strainer it out, but still, you know, I'm gonna go to 200. You can always make more. And you can pour it back into the can too. Just have to keep in mind, if you start pouring paint back into that pint, now there's reduced paint in there with unreduced paint. So maybe the next time you go to use it, depending on how much you put back in there, you might want to use a little bit less on the reducer. So we're going to go 200 to 400. because I'm hoping this is gonna cover quick, and I only need to put a couple light coats on. I'm not gonna go blowing this on real heavy. I wanna do a couple real light mist coats, because if there is any contaminants left on the dashboard, it's less likely to, fisheye and stuff if I put it on thinner. So this is the color here, which it'll probably look different once it gets sprayed on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this ready and tack cloth off the dashboard, and then we can start spraying this color. And keep in mind, my strainers are in the lid itself right here, rather than having to use a paper strainer. Okay, I put 3 light coats on here. It looks good. Getting ready to mix up the clear now. I'm going to use a fast hardener just because I want this dashboard to dry. I want to try not to leave the clear wet for too long on the surface, just to hopefully minimize dirt. I should only be putting 2 coats of clear on. I might end up having to do 3. It all depends if I get dirt in the top of the dash or not. If I don't really get a lot of dirt up there and it doesn't need a lot of wet sanding and buffing, I'll probably stop at 2 coats. Okay, let's get some clear mixed up here. Like I said, I'm going to use a fast hardener just to get it to dry a little quicker, because I need to take this dashboard off tomorrow so that I can do the floor pan. Now the fast hardener is for colder temperature. It's almost 90. I have the boost set at almost 90 degrees. So I'm just trying to get this to dry really fast. This is the same 4-to-1 mix, and I might put just a drop of reducer in it. And we'll go up to 3. And then I'm going to put a little bit of reducer, but I'm not even going to put 10% in there. Just literally just a little drop. I just want to try to thin it just a hair, just to try to get less orange peel. That's maybe 5%. I usually don't use a lot of reducer in clear because it tends to shrink back, and the clear tends to dull up. So if you do use some in your clear, try to use as minimal as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the gun. We'll go out there and get a coat of clear on.
of dirt in the top. You can see a little bit of speckles of dirt here and there. It probably blew out of this vent. I probably blew that vent 10 times. I probably blew that out. Anytime the clear gun will always find the dirt. But everything looks nice. It's actually pretty smooth. So just hit it real lightly with a little wet sanding and buffing and it'll be good to go. I'm gonna wait about 10-15 minutes. I'm gonna unplastic the car. There's no overspray left in the air, but I just want to let this set up a little bit before I start removing this tape and plastic that's right around the wet paint. Okay, that's going to end this video. Wasn't a real long one. Just want to get that dash painted tonight. Tomorrow night I want to work on painting the floor pans for the trunk and in the body of the car. And then Saturday morning I can paint the convertible rack and the front frame. I have the motor coming on Sunday. It is a 348 big block. It's already all done. Has tri-power on it. All the carbs are already all rebuilt, cleaned. Everything looks really nice on it. I still have to clean up the Power Glide 2-speed transmission. I need to just degrease that outside, rinse it off with the hose, and then paint it. I'll probably just paint it like a gunmetal gray. I think that's what they were originally. They weren't really like a bright silver. They were more of a grayish tone. So I'll get that painted so that we can get the transmission and motor put together so we can drop it into the frame. And then we can actually start putting this thing together. I still have to paint 4 new rims and a Continental kit for the back. So that needs painted still. I still have to paint the satin black parts, which all of the inner wheel housings and the core support and all that are already been painted once by somebody else. They're in really good shape. I'm just going to scuff them down and reshoot them with the satin black single stage paint again. That's just like, we didn't take this car off the frame. Somebody a long time ago had taken it off the frame and repainted the frame and stuff. It's not perfect, but it's really nice. And it just couldn't justify taking it that far apart on this one. So that's going to end this video, guys. If you're liking what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. And I will see you guys tomorrow night to do these floors.